Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Mokar Kadash. In the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and his only begotten Son Ba'Shem, in the name of Hamashiach Havashai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the Lashon Kodash on the tongue. And I say Barak Thumb to the elders and apostles, Wa'aki and Wa'akwa, and I say Shalom. And this is a World War III update as of February the 21st, 2026 on this Saturday night. And as we've been seeing recent those recent bombings of I believe from the side of Pakistan, if I'm not mistaken, because I believe it was recently. Because keep this in mind, you've been having throughout previous years and recently you've been having these different type of groups from Pakistan, from the borders of Pakistan and Afghanistan, been clashing with each other for quite a while, so keep that in mind as well too. So you've been having cross-border disputes between Pakistan and Afghanistan. So I just want to add a sad note to that. And this is a news article from Al Jazeera, and it reads: Pakistan carry out strikes in Afghanistan after spate of attacks. Afghan sources say Pakistan strike hits the border of Providence, Paktika, and Nangarhar, Nangarhar, if I pronounced that right. Al Jazeera staff and Associated Press, February 22nd, 2026. It says Pakistan militaries carry out an airstrike in Afghanistan targeting what it called the camps and hideouts belonging to the armed groups in the spate of recent attacks, including a bombing that killed dozens of worshippers at a Shiite mosque in Islamabad. There were no immediate comments from the Afghan Taliban government, but Afghan sources told Al Jazeera that the strikes on Sunday hit two border provinces. The sources say that the drones hit a religious school in the Paklatayaka and Providence, and attacks also took place in Nijargarh Providence. Pakistan Ministry's information broadcast said in a statement on X, saying that the country's military conduct intelligence-based selective operations in 7 camps and hideouts belonging to the Pakistan Taliban, also known as the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP), and its affiliates, and affiliated of the Islamic State group, was also targeted in the border region. And it says that the ministry says inconclusive evidence that recent attacks in Islamabad, as well as the northwestern Balajur and the Bandu districts, were perpetrated by the fighters of the BS of their Afghani-based leadership and handlers. It says Pakistan has repeatedly urged Taliban government to take action to prevent armed groups from using Afghan groups' territory to launch attacks, but that Kabul has failed to undertake any substantive action. Pakistan has also strived to maintain peace and stability in the region, it added, but said that the safety and security of Pakistan citizens remains its top priority. The Pakistani airstrikes on Afghan camps after a bombing target a security conveyed in Bandu district of northwestern Khyber in the Pakhtunkhwa province, unaliving 2 soldiers, including a lieutenant colonel. On Monday, a bomber backed by the government rammed an explosive-laden vehicle in the wall of a security post in a nearly Bakhjur, unaliving 11 soldiers and a child. Authorities later said that the attack was an Afghan national. On February 6th, and another bombing detonated his explosives during a noon prayer at the Khalija to Kirbra Mosque in Islamabad. The Kalia area unaliving at least 31 worshippers and wounding 170 others. The Islamic State group claimed responsibility for the attack. While bombings are rare in a heavily guarded capital, the attacks on the Khalija Tel Kibral was the second such attack in 3 months, raising fears of returns of violence in Pakistan, majority urban centuries. At the time, Pakistan military says that the planning, training, and indoctrination for the attacks took place in Afghanistan. In a statement on Sunday, the Pakistani Information Ministries reiterated a call on the international community to press Taliban to uphold commitments under the agreement it signed with the United States, and the Qatari capital Indore in 2020 to prevent the use of Afghan territory for an attacks against the other countries. The ministry says that the move was vital for regional global peace and security. Pakistan seen a surge of violence in recent years, much of the blame on the TTP, an outlaw bloc, a separatist group. Islamabad accused the TTP of operating from alone. It says from inside Afghanistan, and a charged group denies. The Taliban government also consists denying shelter anti-Pakistan armed groups. Relations between the neighboring countries have remained tense since October, when a deadly border clashes unalived dozens of soldiers and civilians and its respective fighters. The violence followed explosions in Kab- Kabul, Kabul, which Afghan officials blame on Pakistan. A ceasefire meditated by Qatar in October 19th, largely hailed by subsequently talks in Turkey's Istanbul. It says Istanbul failed to produce for a formal agreement. It's the book of Matthews. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, in verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? Border clashes between the borders of Pakistan and Afghanistan. You got different groups from Pakistan versus groups of armed groups of Afghanistan. Cross-border disputes between the neighbors of Pakistan and Afghanistan. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not trouble for all these things must first come to pass, but it's not yet. Right, so it's going to come to pass, but not going to end just yet. So on a daily basis around the world, we're going to see the uptick of wars and rumors of wars between these nations and groups, armed groups and clashes against one another. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, because we see a nation within their own nation rise up against themselves, and then outside of another nation rise against another nation. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. This is the book of Luke 21, in verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and upon the earth disgressive nations with perplexity rich one. Right, so that's what we're seeing, disgressive nations with perplexity rich one, with the uptick of nations clashing against one another, and that's what we're seeing. And as we've been seeing, rising tensions have been heating up between Iran and Israel Defense Force. And this is a news article from the time of Israel as of February 21st, 2026. It reads, updated 11:53 p.m. It says a report from time of Israel. It says the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps running Hezbollah preparing for its it says preparing it for war with Israel if U.S. strikes Iran. Because you've been having ongoing talks between Iran and the United States, and then for the past I would say month and a half, close to 2 months now, with the military building up from the United States. Ever since those protests have been taking place over there in over there in Iran in late December and all the way into now. Because I believe I think they have uh, another protest that took place once again. So we're gonna see how that plays out. But ever since then, tensions have been heating up between Iran and the United States, especially with these protests that have been taking place over there in Iran. It says, but you've been having the United States having that military building up over there in the Persian Gulf, over there in Hamas. And then you've been having Iran with their military building up with their military exercise drills recently that the United States did as well too. So you've been having ongoing tensions and indirect talks between Iran and the United States. And then you've been having tensions heating up between Iran and the United States and between Iran and Israel Defense Force as well too. It says Israel said to see Hezbollah preparing a rocket fire capability. Recent IDF strikes said aim to degrade them. Anti-Hezbollah outlet quotes political sources saying Beirut must declare neutrality. It says officers from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has effectively taken charge of Hezbollah in anticipation of a war with the United States. Israel Saudi Arabia outlet Al Arabiya reported Saturday a Lebanese officials was said to exhale the possibility of their country getting dragged into the battle. The Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps of officers, some of its whom recently arrived in Lebanon from Iran, are tasked with rebuilding Hezbollah's military capability, which were significantly degraded with the 14 months of fighting with Israel that ended in November 2024. Trust Al Arabiya says, citing that some sources close to Hezbollah, the Iranian officials have been, it says, have been personal. That's like slot. It says the Iranian officers has been. See, guess I'm trying to pause that. Yep, it says Iranian officers have been personally, briefly Hezbollah operatives across Lebanon, saying the unnamed sources citing that by Al Arabiya that added that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps of officers were meeting with members of the Hezbollah missile unit at a site in Lebanon's Beirut Valley that has bombed by Israel overnight, admitting a wave of airstrikes that uh, at least 50 people were unalive and 12 children and a senior Hezbollah official. The IDF says that the strikes target Hamas and the Hezbollah command centers. According to the Hezbollah aligned sources, wider Israeli military offense against Lebanon is only a matter of time. The report came as President Donald Trump has amassed military force in the region, repeatedly threatening to use them against Iran, first over the Islamic Public brutal crackdown and the anti-regime protests last month. It says, and most recently of its nuclear program. It says Israel is ready to fight alongside with the United States and expected to be targeted by Iran if the U.S. strikes there, according to the Hebrew media. The KAN public broadcaster reported Saturday evening that Israel has identified the preparations by Hezbollah, particularly by its rocket force, to strike if Iran is attacked, with Lebanese groups expected to target Israel together with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Iranian-backed Shiite militants in Iraq, and the Yemen Houthi rebels. It says the report quoted unnamed Israeli militant sources that the recent Israeli airstrikes target Hezbollah were intended to degrade its capability, admitting the possibility of a conflict, and at least 10 people were unalive and 50 were injured in Israeli strikes in eastern Lebanon on Friday, after the Israel Defense Forces said it targeted the Hezbollah command centers. Channel 12 News reported Saturday that Trump was leaning towards attacking Iran, but had agreed to requests for his envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to give Iran another day or two to submit a proposal in the indirect U.S.-Iran nuclear negotiations to commence early this month. An unnamed U.S. official quoted by the network saying that 10 to 15 days deadline Trump giving Iran was not scientific. Trump has demanded that Iran give up its entire nuclear enrichment, which that's not going to happen, but is reportedly open to letter to Islamic Republic preserve some token enrichment capabilities. It says speaking to the pro-Iranian demonstrators in Lebanon last month, Hezbollah chief Qassam said that the group would not be neutral if the U.S. struck Iran, but stops short explicitly threatening Israel. Meanwhile, the Ynet News cited in an unsourced report this week that Iran was pressuring Hezbollah to fight alongside in its event of a war with Israel. The report also said that the IDF has prepared a plan to significantly strike Hezbollah and has conveyed that it decides that intervening this time, the blow will eventually be painful. On Saturday, the anti-Hezbollah Lebanese outlet Nadia Nadia al-Watan cited permissive political sources in the country saying that Beirut must declare its neutrality in the case of a U.S.-Iran war. It has refused to let Hezbollah drag Lebanon into war with Israel. Hezbollah thought it will be confused Israel and the U.S. by saying it would not be neutralized if Iran was struck. So Israel responded by saying that as soon as it is informed by Washington of the 0 hour and it will preemptively strike Hezbollah, and Israel won't let Hezbollah have initiative. The Nadwa al-Wamp quoted its sources saying Hezbollah will drag Lebanon into this war. It says that Hezbollah previously for battle force in Lebanon's government has been politically sidelined with the accession in January 2025 of Lebanese U.S. and Saudi Arabia President Joseph Allen, a former army chief who has vowed to uphold the state monopolies of arms, a thinly veiled threat against Hezbollah internal arsenal. And this is the book of Luke 21 in verse 10. Then say ye unto them, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Right, that's what we're seeing. Nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And Matthew 24 in verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Right, so these are wars and rumors of wars. That's tensions are heating up over there in the Middle East, which is Western Asia, especially the pro-Iranian groups going against the Israel Defense Force, and Iran versus the Israel Defense Force, and Iran versus the United States. Matthew 24 verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must first come to pass, but it is not yet. Matthew 24 verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. That's what we're seeing. Nation shall rise against nation. Iran versus the Israel Defense Force. Matthew 24 verse 7, once again, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. And this is the prophet Joel, chapter 3 verse 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Right, so let all the men of war draw near, let them come up as they continue to be guided up over there in Western Asia, throughout the whole region, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Gaza Strip, West Bank, Palestinian territory, over there in the Persian Gulf, over there in the Mediterranean Sea, over there in the Red Sea. So these tensions are heating up over there in that area. Joel 3 and verse 10, beat your plowshares and the swords and the pointy hooks and the spears, like the which sound strong. Right, and that's what we see in the pro-Iranian groups. fully support Hezbollah, fully support the Palestinians, fully support Iran going against the Israel Defense Force, the United States armies or their allies. This is Revelations 11 verse 14. The second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly. Right, so the second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly. Armageddon, Armageddon 1. So this was a World War III update as of February the 21st, 2026 on this Saturday night. So with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory, number two, to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Kokodash, and the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Ba'Shem, in the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the Lashon Kodash, the Holy Tongue, and I say Barak Thumb to the elders and apostles, wa Akim, wa Akwaf. Till next time, I will say Shalom.